What is up, guys? So something I want to talk about, and I know we touched on a few videos, is your actual overall health. This channel isn't necessarily about getting huge or strong, whatever the case is. Like, yeah, we all want to be jacked, don't want to be strong as fuck. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of factors I don't think everybody really thinks about, and it's definitely something you should think about, especially when it comes to your overall health. We all know all the obvious shit, right? Diet, sleep, training, being diligent, being consistent. But something that I don't think gets talked about, especially among men, is mental health. Whether it's just we feel like we can't, we're not comfortable. Society tells us we're pussies if we do. There's just a long laundry list of reasons why guys don't talk about things. We've heard Chris talk about how he just kind of keeps it all to himself, and I do the same thing. It's just something that's driven in us by generations, really. But when you let that shit eat at you, believe it or not, not only is it going to affect your day-to-day life, but it will very much affect your appearance. And if you're doing all this shit, you're dieting, and you're training, and you're going through tons of shit to try and make yourself physically better, and you're not taking care of yourself mentally, it could really, really jack you up. Not just in your life, but again, physically. The mental stress causes a ton of different things that can truly affect how your body reacts to food, training, sleep. Or really cause a lack of sleep. There's just so many things that you probably don't think about that really, really get affected by mental health. So if you're wondering why maybe you're holding more belly fat than you think you should, your calorie intake versus output, how hard you're training, and it just doesn't seem to quite be matching the output, you need to take a look at the other side of things, because a lot of that could come down to your mental health. If you're stressing constantly, if you're always worrying about things, bad relationship stuff going on, we don't all have partners that are fucking awesome. So those of us that do are very fortunate, but that's not everybody's life, and even those of us with partners who are incredible, we still have those days, whether it's our fault or just life, but it happens. So there are a million different things out there these days, whether it's online therapy, going to a therapist, talking, even if you can be one of those people who talks to your spouse about everything, but it just doesn't click in the way that really lets you feel like you've gotten it off your chest or gotten it out, or it's hard to explain, but any guy out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. There are so many outlets, even if it's just something like the gym. The gym helps me greatly with the things that I struggle with sometimes. A lot of times my head feels like it's a high school cafeteria, and it's always on 11. But there's something about getting in here and doing a massive lift and pushing myself to that limit where it just feels like it can't possibly take anymore. It makes everything go quiet. But there's YouTube channels, podcasts, really, really great one that you guys need to check out. It's called Dadbods and Beards. Phenomenal group of guys. There's a podcast. They have a YouTube channel. I will put a link to their YouTube channel in the description. They have a lot of really great guests, a lot of really great insights onto many different things and from different walks of life. From your average Joe to, guys who are movie stars, hockey players. Just a really, really, really good insight into mental health, what it means, ways to cope, ways to deal with it, to try and get it out, and just really make yourself an all-around better individual. The guys that do the show, both of them have, history with their own history with, in battles and whatnot. And all that stuff is things that a lot of people would never maybe put out there for the world to listen to. But I think it's not only helped them, but I know it's helped other people. So be sure to check that out. Like I said, the link will be in the description below. And at the end of the day, we can come out here and we can talk all day about, like I said, getting in shape or being strong or all this different stuff. But you really have to look at things from an overall health perspective. And it's not always going to be the easiest thing to do. I fall victim just like everybody else does, and I know I should be more health driven versus strength driven. And, whenever I get on the things like I'm doing now, where I'm going to go do this competition here in a couple weeks, my only focus is that, like how strong could I get? And a lot of times that's my focus. And I know it not necessarily shouldn't be, but I also do get, my blood work. I see my cardiologist and try not to be a complete asshole. Not that always happens, but it's just a good idea to look at yourself, from that aspect and make sure that things are good before you worry about being jacked and having a 6-pack or lifting 1,000 pounds, especially if you're somebody with a family, I have a family and I know that I need to be there. I have a lot of responsibility to make sure that they don't ever have to worry about, what it's going to take to survive without me. So that being said, make sure you guys are getting your health checked. Not just blood work, but like I said, if you have things going on, which we all do, if there's not somebody you're comfortable talking to, or talking to your buddy or your brother or your spouse doesn't quite hit that mark, look to other outlets. Like I said, there's a million different channels out there, podcasts, online therapies. I mean, there's so many options these days. But there's no reason to feel like you got to do it alone. Especially if you're somebody who has a partner at home. You'd be amazed what just having a conversation can do, even if you think it doesn't quite take it off of your chest. In the moment, give it a little time. Give it a little time and you'll understand the difference, even if it's small things that may not even seem like a significant conversation, work stresses, but not bitching, just having a conversation. I'm sure my wife has probably heard her fair share. I know she has, even in my sleep, about work and things like that, but having those conversations versus just bitching and letting it kind of control your day and whatnot definitely make a difference. So make sure to get your mental health in check, because I promise you, you don't want to fall victim to waking up one day and being too far gone. I know a lot of people have been there. I know I've been there, and it almost cost me a lot. And I didn't know how to handle it. I still couldn't even tell you what really put me in that state, but the greatest thing I've ever had in my life is my family, and knowing that could have been gone just because I wasn't willing to have conversations and thought I had to handle everything on my own is the dumbest thing I've ever let happen in my life. And I will tell you again, if you're one of those people who watches stuff like this because you want to learn how to, get big arms or big shoulders or whatever, or get stronger, cool, but make sure you understand that mental clarity is a whole different ballgame, and not having it affects everything from, like I said, the things you do, the things you're willing to do, the things that maybe you don't do, to genuinely changing your physical appearance, because it will, believe it or not. So at the end of the day, we all need somebody we can have a conversation with. We all have somebody we can have a conversation with. And for those who don't, there's, like I said, there's a million options out there. So don't feel like you got to do it alone. And if you feel like you got everything else on point, and you're just wondering why you're not quite making that next step or that last step, that little bit of progress that seems to keep being hindered, take a look at your mental state. Go have a conversation with your wife, with your husband, with your partner, with whatever the hell, your best friend, your brother, your mother. You might find that it starts to change things once you can really get some mental clarity. And who knows where the hell you can go from there. Give it a shot.